Welcome back to FPL Spad, your best place to find FPL content for the 23-24 season. My name is Spad. Today, I'm going to share with you my wildcard team for Game Week 5 for people that need help redoing their teams after the international break. There hasn't been any major injuries so far in the international break, so some players might have come back late from international duty, so they might not be playing, but this team should help you out for the coming game weeks ahead. Now, let me share with you this team. So first up, we have Ederson in goal. His price has gone up to 5.6 now. His next game up is against West Ham away. His predicted points in that game is 4.3. Then at home to Nottingham Forest at 4.9. Then away to Wolves at 4.6. Then away to Arsenal at 3.8. He's only made 17 points so far in the first 4 games. His ownership is at 21%. In my opinion, if you're going for a Man City defensive player, he's the best option as he's guaranteed to start and get you the clean sheet points that you need from the defense for Man City. The only reason he's not the top predicted points in AI is because Luton goalkeeper and Burnley goalkeeper have got the highest predicted points because they got a double game week in 7. But in my opinion, you should be choosing Ederson in goal. Next up, we have Trippier. His price has stayed the same at 6.5 as he's not had the best of points tally so far, only 5. His next game up is against Brentford at home, where he's predicted to make points of 4.7, then away to Sheffield United at 4.6, then at home to Burnley at 5.1, then away to West Ham at 4.1. His ownership is pretty high at 30.03. In my opinion, he's got a good sell fixtures to come, so you should be getting a few clean sheets and assist points from now on here out. In my opinion, he should be your number 1 choice because AI has predicted him to make the most points in the next 3-4 game weeks. Next up, I've chosen another Man City defender in Walker because, in my opinion, he's nailed on to start. He just signed a new contract. They've released a video on Twitter the other day. Pretty funny. His price has gone up already to 5.2. Then next game up is West Ham away. His predicted points for the next 4 games are pretty low because AI thinks he's not going to play the full 90 minutes, where in the past games he has. So I will not take AI into account. They've only predicted him points of 2.4 against West Ham, 2.8 against Nottingham Forest, Wolves 2.6, and Arsenal 2. He's made 16 points so far. His ownership is just under 12%. In my opinion, he's the best choice to have from the Man City defense because he's probably the most nailed on. Him, Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz costs a bit more at the moment at 5.5. If you have a bit extra cash, you can change whichever Man City defender you want to redo because they all cost around the same amount of price. You've got Nathan Ake, Akanji, and got Garviola. But in my opinion, you should be choosing Walker as your Man City defender. And for the third defender, we have Dan Burn. His price is still the same at 4.5. As Trippier, he's only made 5 points in the first 4 game weeks. His next game is Brentford at home. His predicted points in that game is 3.8. The next game again, 3.8 against Sheffield United. And then 4.2 against Burnley. And West Ham, 3.3 away. His ownership is only at 3%. So he's a big differential in my opinion. And say I could go on with a full Newcastle defense if I like it by changing Walker to Botman maybe. But in my opinion, you should not do that. You should never have all 3 defenders from the same team. So in my opinion, Burn is a great choice to have as the fixture list is favourable to Newcastle. The first midfielder that's up is Maddison. His price has gone up to 7.8 now. He's had a great first 4 game weeks, making 29 points so far. His ownership is at 27.8%. His next game up is at home against Sheffield United, where he's predicted to make 6 points, then away against Arsenal, 4.8, and then Liverpool at home at 5.4, then Luton away at 5.4. There are 2 hard games in between those four games that Maddison has, but he's still capable of getting game points there because Liverpool does not have the best defense at the moment. They're still in a team rebuilding. Arsenal, that's another derby game. He could get maybe a goal or an assist in that game too as well. But in my opinion, he's a great choice to have in your game, in your wildcard team. Next up, we have Saka. His cost is 8.7. Next game up for him is Everton away. His predicted points in that game is 5.3. Then at home for a derby game against Tottenham, 5.8. Then away to Bournemouth at 5.4. Then home to Man City at 4.9 in a big game again. He's made 25 points so far. His ownership is very high at 61.5%. In my opinion, you must have him as he's the Arsenal main player, star player. Most likely will be on penalties. Even though there's 2 hard games in the next 4 fixtures run-ups, I expect him to still have some returns in those games. So in my opinion, he's a must-have in your wildcard team. Next up, we have Marcus Rashford. His price has gone down to 8.9. His next game up is at Brighton at home. Not the easiest game, but he's still got high predicted points at 5.8. Then Burnley away at 5.6. Then Crystal Palace at home at 5.8. Then Brentford at home at 5.7. He's made 19 points so far in the first 4 games. His ownership is at 35%. Fair, good amount of ownership, so most people do have him in his team. In my opinion, he is playing better on the left once he's back there now. So he should be playing there and making more game points compared to the first 2 game weeks. You must have him in your team. He makes United tick. Even though United are not right now in the best place themselves. But in my opinion, Rashford is a must. But if you're not happy with Rashford, the other choice could be Son for you. Next up, we have Raheem Sterling. His price has gone up to 7.2. I bought him last weekend for Martinelli, and he only bought in 2 points. Not his own fault. He put up great chances on the plate for Jackson. He didn't put them away, so he could have got an easy return there. His next game up against Bournemouth away. His predicted points in that game is 4.7. Then at home to Villa at 4.7. Then Fulham away at 4.6. Then Burnley away at 4.6 as well. He's made 25 points so far. Majority of that was from a single game week. His ownership is only at 16.3% because not a lot of people have chose to go with him and chose to go with Maddison instead. But in my opinion, the fixture list that he has up, and he's the most experienced player in that Chelsea team to be playing game in, game out. And he didn't play during the international break, which is a plus for him. So in my opinion, he's a great choice to have in your wildcard team. And finally, for the final midfielder, we have Mbeumo. Cost 6.8 million still. Next game up is against Newcastle. It's a hard fixture for Brentford. His predicted points in that game is at 4.5. Reason being he's in my team is for the fixture list afterwards. Because afterwards, they got Everton at home at 5.5 predicted points. Nottingham Forest away at 5.2. Then Man United at home at 4.7. He should be on penalties for Brentford as well. So he still might be able to get points in the Newcastle game as well. He's made a whopping 33 points so far in the first 4 game weeks. Has been one of the star man in FPL this season so far. His ownership has gone up to 27% at the moment. Still not that high, but good enough. In my opinion, he's a Brentford star player. We'll be playing nearly every game and performing while Tony's injured. So he should be in your team as a cheap option to balance out your team. And next up, of course, we have one man has to be playing always is Haaland. His predicted points from the next game against West Ham away is still 8.1. Forest at home, 10.2. Wolves at home, away, at 8.5. Then Arsenal away at 7.6. He made 39 points so far in the 4 game weeks. His ownership has gone up to 92% as well. His price has gone up as well by 0.1. Don't expect him to get goals every game, but West Ham away won't be easy, but I expect him still to get maybe a goal or 2 in that game as well. Expect him to be in your team always. And for the second striker, we have Jesus. He's just come back from his injury. He came on in the last game to get the 3rd goal for Arsenal in the last match against United. His price has gone down to 7.9. His game next step up is against Everton away. He could be very well starting that game. His predicted points for that game is 5. Then at home to Tottenham at 5.4. Then away to Bournemouth at 5. Then home to Man City at 4.6. He's made 7 points so far in the 1 game that he came on to play. His ownership is at only 2.5%. So he's a big differential if he performs and gets the points. Will make you shoot up the ranks faster than anything else. So in my opinion, he's a great choice to have in your wildcard team because after these 4 games, Arsenal do have alright fixtures as well. Now for the bench, we have Areola in goal. Cheap starting goalkeeper at 4.1 million now. But for this game up is against Man City, so obviously we're going to bench him for that game. His predicted points for that game is only 3.2. After that, we have Gusto. I've kept him in this wildcard team because I don't think James will be back in the team straight away. And even if he does, he could easily get injured and Gusto will be a ready-made replacement for him. His price is at 4.2 now. The next game up is against Bournemouth away. His predicted points by AI is at 1.6 because AI does not expect him to start the game at all. And for the second defender, we have Burku. He plays for Luton. Reason being he's in this wildcard team for the game week 7. For the double game week that he has. His predicted points in the next game is 2.8. His price is only at 4 million. So it's a great choice to have as a backup defender in hopes of playing him in the double game week. Same for the final striker, Archer, at 4.5. He made some points in the last game week by getting a goal. His next game up is against Tottenham away at 3.5 predicted points. So let's review this wildcard team for game week 5. In my opinion, Haaland has to always be in your teams no matter what until further down the line when they have a hard sell fixture list. But for now, they have a good fixture list, so yes, stay in your team. Jesus, in my opinion, is a great option, but you can also go for Alvarez, but then you have to change your defense. Or you could go for Jackson for a Chelsea player, where a lot of people do own him already. In the midfield, Madison, in my opinion, you got to keep. Saka, you got to keep. Mbumu, you got to keep because he's a cheap option. Sterling, you can afford to change to someone else if you feel like it, but the easiest change, but I wouldn't. He has the easiest set of fixture list coming up. The other one is Rashford. If you feel like he's not going to get you enough points and you feel like making a change on Rashford, the logical option will be Son, as he's a midfielder but playing up front in the last game. The reason why he's not in this wildcard team mainly is because Tottenham have signed Brennan Johnson. So he could be playing up front instead, and Son could be back to a normal position on the left. In defense, you can see I've chosen 2 Newcastle defenders and 1 Man City defender. The Man City defender is a Walker at 5.2. You could choose literally any of the other Man City defenders. They're costing you the same amount of money, ranging from 5 to 5.5. And this team will cost you only 100 mil. So you should have a little bit of money in the bank to spend on acquiring the little tweaks that you want to do for your own personal touch on this wildcard team. So that's it for this wildcard team. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. If you have a different opinion to my wildcard team, please leave a comment on the video. I might mispronounce some player names, but I hope you understood what I meant. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel for future FPL content and win your winning mini leagues. Thank you again for watching my video. See ya!